Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Nightcap. Matthias is currently trying to get his children to bed, so Dylan and I are hanging out for a little bit till he gets in. So, how's it going, Dylan?
It's going, man. We are still undefeated.
Still undefeated. After a well-timed bye week for Iowa State, and for a few different reasons, obviously injury-wise and all that, but I think this was we saw some interesting stuff out of the press conferences this week. We had more interesting press conferences than we typically do. One from Matt Campbell talking about some injuries, and then Taylor Mauser kind of talking about how he and the offense and the rest of the team have spent the off week. So my first question for you, Dylan, is when you guys had your midseason bye week, how did that typically, what does a bye week typically look like?
Yeah, I mean, you started off with more off days than usual, right? Like usually like come in Sunday, watch the film, Monday's completely off, take care of your classwork, and then Tuesday's back at it. Bye week, depending on where the team's at, how the coaches feel, like if you're having a rough go the last couple of weeks, you'll just run it like a regular week, and everything is going to go full speed all week. But in a place where the staff feels really good about the team and where they're at, then they'll give you a little bit more time. Maybe we're not even wearing helmets for the first couple of days, and just trying to lock in on some stuff that needs to be fixed. But I think where this team is at, I think Matt's like confident enough to like keep them, or he's confident enough in their maturity to be able to handle time off, because that's a big thing he always talked about. Like, can this team handle time off? Like, can we handle giving these guys extra time? And I think they need it too. I mean, a lot of guys banged up. You referenced the Matt Campbell injury interview, like probably got more than we usually get from him, but not. He still didn't really give any. He didn't show any cards, right? Like,
right, yeah, you're not going to get a lot from him ever, but I guess
this week we're not getting anybody back this week.
No, but he did give us some. He did enlighten us a bit on different injury situations. Like Ben Bramer is not as serious as they thought it was. Like, he's probably out. He said it was a coin flip for this week, or maybe 40% for this week, and then going from there, it's just if he doesn't play this week, then maybe next week type of thing. He did say that Will McLaughlin is probably the first linebacker that will be coming back, potentially sometime in these next few games. I would guess that does not mean this weekend, and probably not the weekend after. But if you say he comes back for maybe Cincinnati, something like that, I think it seems like that's the timeline they're trying to hit with him. And we also got our first mention of Caleb Bacon this week, who he said is on a good track and is should be back maybe even by December. So that would be interesting, because Iowa State is guaranteed to be playing football in December in some way, shape, or form. So there's a decent chance at this point that Caleb Bacon will play football again at some point this season. And the other one was Carson Willich, who he said was potentially looking at a December type of thing. Or maybe if they play a January bowl game, then, playing in January. So interesting notes there. It sounds like to me like they're starting to get healthy. Oh God,
there he is, boys.
Speaking of starting to get healthy, we did not just do that by Matthias hopping on the chat here, but
what up?
We were talking about the press conference this weekend. Matt Campbell talking about injuries. And all
back to the bye week though. Chris asked on the Saturday if we scrimmaged or just practiced. Neither, actually.
I would guess they probably didn't do anything.
Yeah, Saturday you're just completely off, and then you kick off that off day, and then it's regular week. So you're
back into a game week.
Yeah. So they don't want to change too much. So like instead of playing a game or even practice, they do nothing on Saturday, get the day off, and then come in Sunday, and it's treated basically like a regular Sunday after a game. And then they're going to be off Monday, like a normal game week, and then start on Tuesday. But
And then if you move to like what Taylor Mauser, who gave a very interesting press conference for multiple reasons, one of the things he talked about was that they have been treating this bye week kind of like bowl practices, where they're trying to get depth pieces, lots and lots of extra snaps. So you're talking about getting guys down the depth chart. On offense, you're looking at getting guys like a Eli Green or a Dominic Overby or a Benny Nagoye or someone like that, or Carson Brown, getting them a lot more snaps, or maybe looking at somebody like, getting Tyler Moore more starter snaps, or even maybe getting Cooper Alexander or Andrew Keller into the fold. On defense, that to me sounds like this was the week where they can finally sit down and watch film with Bo Goodwin and Ryland Barnes and that whole group that, the fourth and fifth stringers that have come in this season and have otherwise played pretty well, but have really just been kind of flying by the seat of their pants the last few weeks.
That sounds like to me, you had a bunch of guys banged up and needed somebody to practice.
Well, they run those bowl practices by week. It's interesting how, like, you'll go out like a normal practice and then do the warm up, and then there'll be like 6. It's all period based, so like you go through periods and you do like the main like 6 or 7 periods of practice, whatever they're doing that day, and then the starters, whatever the guys playing the bulk of the snaps, whether they're a starter or not, they'll have a list, and those guys will literally leave practice and they'll take these guys lower on the depth chart, get them a shitload of reps, and then the guys taking the bulk of the snaps in games are leaving practice and they're going to the training room. They're with the strength coach working on like joint health, like whatever they need, and that's kind of how that goes. So they're literally yoinking those guys out of practice. So you have to practice with
like, I would be pretty shocked if like Jaden Higgins did much this past week, since he was a little bit banged up towards the end of the UCF game. And he's obviously who he is. I would be shocked if he's not on that list of guys that can probably come out and, go to the trainer or whatever it is.
The old veteran, the 40-year-old NFL treatment of vet day off.
Vet's day off. Yeah. But I think getting guys, like I said, like getting guys like Ryland Barnes and Bo Goodwin a whole fuckload of snaps in practice this week would be really, really good for them. Because as you get guys coming back, like Will McLaughlin and maybe Jacob Emming starts getting healthy or whatever it is, those kind of guys, as you start getting guys back, that linebacker room is going to build depth really fast. Especially since your third, fourth, and fifth string guys have been playing a bunch of snaps. You're suddenly going to go from the thinnest group on the team to the deepest position group on the team in a hurry, just because you have so many guys getting snaps. I mean, because if you look at towards the end of the season, if you're like, as close to 100% healthy as you can be going into a bowl game or to a playoff or whatever it is, and you got most of your guys back, you're talking about having a linebacker group with probably 9 guys that have started games and played significant snaps, 9 or 10 guys that have played significant snaps and or started a game. That's massive when you're getting into a playoff.
Practice snaps are like one thing. These guys have played real
snaps. They're playing real snaps. You have your fifth string linebackers taking real snaps against Big 12 teams. That's how you build depth in a hurry. And it's all young guys too. I mean, there's like Caleb Bacon is the elder statesman of the group, and he's like a redshirt junior. So this is a really young group that's got a pile of snaps in that room right now. It bodes well going forward.
And at this rate, Caleb Bacon's going to have the least amount of starts at middle linebacker when he does come back.
Right. But at this point, would you even bring back Caleb Bacon as a middle linebacker?
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Yeah, you do.
You would. So
if that's what they repped him at us all spring, I mean,
it is. Point, but now that you're
saying you can feel the position and then take him back into like a pass rusher.
Well, like last year, he was a stand-up edge rusher. He was a Von Miller type or whatever. He was that kind of player. last year, and he was really, really good at it.
Yeah, but I
Really
think
good at it.
he's really slimmed down to like have that build of a like a middle roaming linebacker though. So
I guess, but
I
I
don't know.
mean, to me, I've seen enough from like Caleb Brzezina to say, okay, you can run Caleb Brzezina at middle and let Caleb Bacon just be really good at what he does, which is rushing off the edge.
Well, it's more than just that. Like, contrary to popular belief, he hasn't been dead this whole time.
Right.
He's actually there in the building every day, and he's around the team every day. And play, where he can play, the place he can make are one thing, but he's a leader on your defense, and you want that guy with the headset. That's the guy that you want in charge of your defense because he's the leader of the defense. Like, I think that's probably more important than like, man, can we get this guy off the edge? Or like,
I guess my thinking is that Caleb Brzezina's had, when he was healthy earlier this season, had the green dot on his helmet and he was doing a great job. I mean, he's not Caleb Bacon. He's not, hasn't been in the building for 4 years and all that. So I definitely see your point there. My thinking is that you've had a guy that's played there most of the season and has played really well at that spot. So at that point, you can take your B plus A minus middle linebacker, keep him there, and move your A minus middle linebacker, A minus A middle linebacker to the outside to be your AA plus edge rusher.
Or and we can have two good starting linebackers and just have Caleb Brzezina and
then you got to look at Cooper Ebel, who's played really well this season too. He's been very good this season. So
then you have rotating pieces, and
obviously they're going to have to rotate at this point because now at this point Rylan Barnes has played well enough that he's earned a spot in the rotation, not even just as a stopgap. I think
you just leave it as is and leave them at the positions that they've been like coached up for the last 9 months. Because I mean, while Caleb Bacon has done edge rushing, but he also was in linebacker positions in the depth of the defense last year as well. So it's like, I don't know. He's been practicing middle linebacker for the last 9 months at this point. Like, we're gonna bring him back for one, let's say Kansas State or the Big 12 championship game, and then you're going to give them a week or two to practice a D end. I don't know.
I think the great thing about all this is we can sit here and talk about who's going to go where and what's going to happen. We're in a position with our football program that we have a defensive coordinator where we don't have to worry about this stuff because he's going to take care of it, and whatever he does is going to be the best outcome.
Whatever call they make is fine with me. I'm
going to do what I want.
We're just really speculating for the fun of it because you're taking. I mean, at this point, you're talking about taking a bunch of very good linebackers and just trying to figure out which ones go on the field. I think. I mean, I guess. Give your thoughts on this guys too, but like in my opinion, I mean, your three best linebackers when fully healthy are Caleb Bacon, Cooper Ebel, and Caleb Brzezina, right? Those are your three best linebackers when everybody's healthy.
I mean, that's basically that's the list,
I guess. But then there's Will McLaughlin too, who's been very good. I think I would put the other three ahead of him, but. So let's say you get them all back, and Caleb.
I guess you would be saying like have a lot of what ifs with the Carson Willich and the Will McLaughlins because, I mean, I guess Will McLaughlin played almost all of last year, so.
Yeah, I mean he's taken a ton of snaps for how young he is too because he played a bunch as a true freshman. I mean, maybe they approach this like a hockey.
Funny how he's been forgotten in all this though.
I know
how much he has played.
Will McLaughlin's played a load of snaps for Iowa State. I wonder if they could also just approach us with a platoon mentality, kind of like hockey does, where for a long time the Blackhawks, when they had Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews at the height of their powers, instead of putting them on the same line, which they were very good on the same line together, but they put Patrick Kane at the left wing on the first line and kept Jonathan Toews on the second line, and did that so they can spread their star power out throughout the game rather than dump it all into the first line. What was that?
Hockey reference off on the bingo card today.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's worthwhile though because I mean those are your two best players, but they intentionally played them in different different lines to keep star power on the ice at all times versus trying to concentrate it all in one and then have lulls when someone comes off, if they were to both come off the ice.
It's kind of like when we had Rob Jones and put him on the bench and brought him off the bench for that firepower. You know what I'm saying? Give me that big Rob energy.
I think when it comes down to it and everybody's healthy, you're going to look at like we're gonna always have a fresh body at linebacker. Like they're always gonna be fresh until the fourth quarter.
You have Big 12 starters 3 deep at each spot.
I think this is pretty underrated comment here. That is fact.
Yeah, he does. He's got the nice long hair, the AJ Hawk long blonde hair, or not long AJ Hawk, Clay Matthews, the long blonde Clay Matthews.
Either way, both.
I get it. I was reading like way too deep into that with football brain. I was like a figurative hair, instead of a literal hair, like that guy's hair's on fire type of hair insteed of like.
No, he's actually got the locks.
No, I know.
I gotta be honest. I feel like you overthought that.
I did for sure.
I mean, he does play like his hair's on fire.
He does. He's a good linebacker, but I think he was talking to the literal hair on his head.
Also true. Yes, literal hair. It's there.
It is. Literal hair is there. The other interesting thing that came out of Taylor Mauser's press conference was how he talked about how he is kind of he took this week to kind of reevaluate himself. I'm sure to go back and look at the UCF game where he was talking about how he thought he forced too many things against UCF and didn't let the flow of the game come to him, and was looking at analytics this past week to see their tendencies and to see if they need to adjust based on those numbers too, which I thought was a very refreshing thing to hear, because you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Dylan, but I think there are lots and lots of coaches, coordinators, and position coaches alike that believe that they know what's right. It's
Don't
their way or the
desk
highway.
Over with that boner that you're popping talking about this mouse comment.
Shane Waldron.
I know, but it's refreshing to hear a guy that is showing precisely zero ego when it comes to this. Like, he has demonstrated all season that he's like looking to other people for advice. He's willing to take good ideas from anywhere, and that he is evaluating himself and being self-critical. And I think that is an uncommon trait in modern coaches.
Matt Nagy used to be that opposite of all the time. When he was
just super stubborn.
Yeah, it was like after that flash in the pan they had with Mitchell Trubisky, he was like 3 years of like, basically he was going in like the media like press conferences like, and people would like question like the exact same things that Taylor Mauser is looking at, and they're like, why haven't you looked at this, or why haven't you looked at that? He's like, basically he'd come out every press like, I am the coach, I know more than you.
Well, and I think like kind of an unpopular opinion, I think the same thing was with Sean Payton in New Orleans. Like at the end, Drew Brees is gone. I get that. But he had that same mentality of like, these coordinators don't know better than I do, or like these people that are trying to help me. He's like, I know. And I think that mindset gets you. The game of football at any level is evolving so fast that if you get into that mindset, and it doesn't matter if you've been around 40 years, it's just going to out evolve you, and your way that it just doesn't work anymore. And so you're right. I mean, I think that's good to hear from Mouse, but like, it's not super uncommon in the Campbell era. Like we've done this.
Reevaluate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
almost every year, like we get a sheet and we talk about it. Like, these are our tendencies. This is when we're predictable. We break it down. Like, we've always done that. The interesting part is going to be, do we do something about it?
Yeah, and I guess that I think
not that we need to. The offense hasn't really ever been like, oh my God, like these guys got us dialed up.
Well,
like,
and that's the thing too, is like he's doing this. He's talking in a very self-analytical way. The offense has been solid to very good all year. Like they really haven't had any really bad stretches. They've maybe had some slow starts, but they haven't gone like 3/4 of a game being shit. Like, they've been pretty good pretty much the entire season. Good enough where like you could easily say that if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of thing. Like, you can always get better, but there's nothing broken about the Iowa State offense at all. Yeah. But he's still looking at it and saying, okay, this is what we're doing a lot. These are the few things that teams are keying on. What can we do to change that? And I think him talking openly about that whole process is really interesting and very encouraging, because I don't think you hear that talked about publicly a lot.
I'm still trying to figure out though, like after like when he said this and then like going back and thinking about the UCF game, did Mouse call a bad game, or did we just play shitty?
I don't think he called a bad game. I mean,
I mean, even
like we
admitted
talked
that
about
he
it,
was just
we
forcing
spotted them 28 points. Like, I don't know what you're
Yeah.
supposed to do about that.
I think we just played shitty. Like the defensive line for UCF was like controlling shit, and it just anything
Their
that could
defensive
have like
line's
gone
good.
wrong was like bad. And
It was one of those
I
Murphy's
think
Law
UCF
games.
played their best game of the season against us, unfortunately, because they did not look very good last week against BYU. So sometimes you get those teams that catch the lightning, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of went over it, right? Like, Gus Malzahn's a good football coach. Nobody's going to deny that. You get a really good football coach that goes against the same defense 2 weeks in a row. Not that, like, he's going to figure, especially not just a football coach, like one of the greatest offensive minds in football. He's going to find a way to score. And I think part of that is, we gave up a couple of really big plays. Now, did they just scheme us up? Not really. We just missed tackles. But I don't think the UCF game is too much to hang your hat on. The further it gets away, the more I'm like,
whatever.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like we've said it before. Everything that could have went wrong and worse, like really bad. So you have 2 long touchdowns and 2 pick sixes. Like, you're lucky to win the game. Book it and move on.
Well, and they had 9 yards of carry on the ground and something like that. Like Iowa State found about it. There was about 100 different reasons Iowa State should have lost that game. But you played the worst game of the year, the worst game since the Ohio game last year, and still won that game. And it wasn't against like some shit team. UCF's a decent team. They have a decent roster.
No, but you're lucky it's against UCF, because if you give up 2 70-yard touchdowns and throw 2 pick sixes against Kansas State or BYU, you're probably just going to lose. Yeah,
but you it was good to get that dud out of the way, I suppose. Because in the picks were interesting too. The first one was a bad throw by Rocco. Came right after he kind of took a hit, and kind of was wondering if he was a little bit, I don't know, had his bell rung.
He was in Narnia.
Yeah. And then the second one, the receiver fucked up. He ran the wrong route. And then Jalen, the other receiver that was next to Jalen, ran the wrong route and ended up 6 inches behind Jalen when he threw the ball. And then Jalen dropped it, and it ricocheted right into the defender's hand. So like the second one was a total freak show play.
Yeah, so, and we talked about this game last week, and I've thought about it every night at sleep. So I don't know. I think
we don't need to keep rehashing it too much. But
Texas Tech
is an interesting opportunity this week.
An interesting opportunity. So the thing about Mouse, like why he's saying all of this stuff, even though the offense has been, as you say, good to great, it hasn't been bad. The reason he's saying all this stuff is I know this guy. That crazy bastard wants to score 100 fucking points every single week. Like he literally wants these grown men to go home and cry in their dorm room. Like he wants to score 100 every week. Like literally.
Oh yeah.
So what a good opportunity against
I was going to say
passing defense.
This is the second worst passing defense in college football right now. They are unwiped diarrhea butt.
I'm calling
Baylor scored 60.
Baylor scored 59 on him. And this is one of those games where Texas Tech has a good running back, Taj Brooks. Their team
been there for 90 years.
What was that?
Been there for 90 years.
Been there for 100 years.
I think I might have played against him actually.
There's a
and I'm retired.
He probably started the same year you did.
His true freshman year might have overlapped with your senior year.
I think it did.
But Texas Tech is a team. They've got a good running back. Their running game is not nearly the same as UCF's. They're not going to run, especially since Baron Morton is starting, but he has his bum shoulder on the left side. They are not going to run Baron Morton. They are not running read option with fucking Baron Morton. It's not happening. And so they're not going to be able to take advantage of that read option that UCF really, really gashed Iowa State with. They don't have a runner at quarterback like UCF does. And they also just don't have that same type of running scheme that gave Iowa State a bunch of problems. They also, Baron Morton is a fairly efficient quarterback. He doesn't throw a ton of picks, but he's not a world beater by any stretch. And this feels like one where if you bottle up Taj Brooks and make Baron Morton throw into that secondary a bunch. If Texas Tech throws the ball 45 times, we're picking at least 2 passes off, at least 2. And then if you slow them down and keep them under 20 points, you can win this game by 30. You can win this game by 4 touchdowns.
Well, the only reason why Baylor and TCU put up so many points against Texas Tech is because they were tapping it into helmet communications.
True.
Yeah. So
we ought to look into that.
I would love to hear the story behind this. Yeah,
So
I think we should start doing it, frankly.
Well, see, according to Kansas State fans on the Twitters first, we are already doing that because
as soon as I saw that, I was like, I bet there is already replies from Kansas State fans accusing Matt Campbell of doing it. I didn't even need to look. I could have told you that was going to be.
If you had to list the Big 12 coaches of like which of these coaching staffs would do something like that, Matt Campbell would be probably last in my head. Like,
yeah,
I know I'm biased, but he's just a good fucking dude, and he wants to do everything by the book, and he's always been that way. Like, there's no chance in hell that guy would do that.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
if they were doing it, it wouldn't come from him. He would not know about
it. We're filming our basketball.
Yeah, he wouldn't. If it did happen, he wouldn't know about it.
Yeah.
But they're still back on their basketball thing because they thought that Iowa State was filming Jerome Tang's fucking huddle and shit like that. Like,
that's fantastic, Fancy, that you called the Twitter or X, whatever you're calling it here, a status.
A status. Has Facebook even had statuses for a long time?
So old.
That's a very boomer way to describe.
Yeah, but you're calling him boomer, but he called it X when really it's Twitter.
I feel like boomers do that though, because
boomers call it Twitter, right?
No,
Gen Z kids call it X.
I think millennials call it Twitter because that's what we grew up on. But boomers just call it what it is. I guess. I don't know.
I've called it Twitter every single time.
What I know is that Rex is an oldie. Yeah, see, he had his birthday.
He's literally 75.
So he is.
Yep. Probably didn't even wear white to the whiteout.
Probably. Dickhead. What the fuck were we talking about? Oh yeah. So Texas Tech, their defense blows ass. And this is an opportunity that if Taylor Mauser wants to try to score 70 points on somebody, he can probably do it this week. If Jaden Higgins is even remotely healthy, him and Jalen Noel can absolutely terrorize Texas Tech. And it's going to be 50 and a little bit rainy on Saturday, which means that Texas Tech players will be fucking miserable all day. As confirmed by my good buddy Marchie Murdoch, because those Texas boys, when they come up and it's under 60 degrees, they start shutting down.
Pat Mahomes.
I remember he was telling me about that day. It was like
he packed it in. It was cold as fuck, and in
like the second quarter, March said the DBs were saying, "Fuck this, man! I want to get out of here."
Yeah, they all packed it in, but dude, Patty didn't even come out the second half.
Yeah,
packed it in.
Did we beat them? That
66-10.
No,
that was 2016.
A couple years after that, it was like negative 5 degrees out when they came up to Ames.
2018 was normal.
I do not remember.
2018 was when that Spears had to pick 6.
The only Tech game I remember being cold is the Patrick Mahomes one.
Yeah, I don't think any of the more recent Texas Tech games have been cold, but this one will be 50 and rainy, which is going to feel cold.
I remember the Drake game. That shit was miserable.
Fuck me. That was the dumbest fucking game of all time. I'd prefer to assume just forget that game ever happened. It was dumb.
Was terrible, dude.
It was a fucking miserable day.
That field has never been in worse shape ever than that day.
It's a fucking miserable day. We almost got beat by fucking Drake.
No, what happened was it was like, if I can defend your Iowa State Cyclones a little bit. So the field was terrible. Like you're sinking like almost to your ankles in mud. And what that does is it completely eliminates the fact that you're bigger, faster, or stronger than anybody else.
Speed advantage. Yeah,
it's all gone. It's an even playing field. And then you add in the fact that we practice inside all week long. Those guys do not have an indoor facility.
Yeah, they're outside all the time.
They are outside all week long. And their quarterback happens to have bigger hands than our quarterback has. And so we can't throw the ball because it's slimy, it's wet, it's cold. And Brock, with his fucking Burger King Whopper Jr. hands, can't throw the football when it's wet and cold. So we have to run the ball, but we can't block because there's no advantage to blocking. You can't get any footing. David can't run because he's slipping in the backfield. It was just a disaster. It was a
fucking disaster. It was the worst. That was the least fun I've ever had at a football game. And I was there when we got blasted by Utah in 2010 and shit. Like, I was there for all the Paul Rhodes there and getting fucking just demolished by people. That was the least fun I've ever had at a football game of all time.
Same.
Horrible.
Maybe,
it's just a horrific experience.
It wasn't Texas Tech. I don't know. I was looking up past. I thought maybe it was like, was it 2022? We played Texas Tech really late in the season, and it was 2022.
Yeah, we lost that year because we were shit.
Yeah, it was 14-10. I'm pretty sure it was really cold that game too.
It might have been. It's pretty embarrassing that they only beat us by 4 that year, though.
Well, we were talking about 2016, and you said a couple years after. You're talking about like a decade almost. That's a long time.
That's 6 years. All right. That's almost a decade. Got 4 years.
It rounds up to a decade.
It does.
Rounds up to a decade.
Round up your ass. Right?
Don't tell me with a good time. Yeah. So this is a week where I would like this to be the tone setter for the next stretch of games. Come out here and get hot, and I'm not saying you need to do like the fucking, North Dakota game where you just sit there and chuck a 65-yard bomb on the first play.
Why not?
I mean, you can, but you don't need to do that.
What, are you scared?
They can score, I think. We'll see.
Tech?
I think they can score.
Yeah. They have a decent offense. They've got a good receiver. I can't remember what his name is, but he's like 6'4" and he's pretty quick. Fortunately, we have our own 6'4" corner in Darian Porter, who is also pretty quick. And so I would guess he'll probably get the matchup on him for a lot of the game, because that'll be the first time that receiver has probably seen a corner as big as he is on the other side. And
State of Iowa 100-meter champion, right?
He's the 100-meter and 200-meter record holder in Iowa, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
Duke and
I mean, Iowa is kind of a slow state, huh? We're not talking about them, bro. I know what you're gonna say. Did you see that though? Yeah, but we're not talking about him.
Hilarious.
We're not talking about him.
What are we talking about?
This is an Iowa State podcast.
You shut your mouth for 1 second, all right?
Who the fuck are we talking about right now?
He wants to bring out the Hawkeyes because he's a fucking
classic Hawkeye Matias.
Yeah, there he goes.
Bring out the gif of him doing this thing.
Shut the fuck up and listen to me right now. How hilarious is University of Iowa football that they have to bring out a white, not being racist, sprinter to run on a football field to entertain the fans? How bad is that?
That happened?
Hilarious.
Oh,
yes.
Well, I was going to say, it's like we had Trevor Ryan, but he played football.
No, they had their sprinter on the track team come out and run a 40-yard dash at halftime.
That's how bad their football.
What did he run? 4:05?
4:15.
Oh, 4:15. I was going to say, it's like, damn.
I mean, still damn.
It's still damn, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not giving him credit for how fast it was. I just think it's hilarious that they had to bring out a cross-country track and field person. Like, woo, go football.
Yeah. Let's do this. Well, I mean, what else are they going to get excited about? Fucking Cade in the offense?
Probably not. The other fucking guy.
Oh yeah,
the Northwestern transfer. What the fuck? Is his name?
Dude, that kid. Not that I want to give them any props at all. That kid,
good.
Yeah,
he can kind of ball.
He fucking threw a screen pass and then he outran the guy he threw it to and blocked for him. And I was like,
he's actually not bad. That's a problem for next year.
Yeah, we'll figure it out later.
It's not like we haven't played good QBs before.
Yeah, but holy shit, how are they not? I guess it's kind of like an NFL situation where like the Giants have to play Daniel Jones because they paid him so much money that if they don't play him, then they look like idiots.
Well, they said this week Cade is out because of a concussion. I'm assuming concussion means fucking stupid.
He's had a concussion forever.
The man plays like he was born with a concussion. I don't know. It's just I think that was the
David Montgomery touchdown throw was fact check. He did in fact use the laces to throw this touchdown pass.
Turns out David Montgomery knows more ball than Caden McNamara.
How do you even say his name?
If you had asked Iowa fans though, who would you rather have be your pocket QB, Dave Montgomery or Cade McNamara? I think someone would take David.
Oh, I would take David for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's all a problem for next year. We'll figure it out. What was interesting though, I did see that had Texas Tech not fucking shit their pants on the last two games, we probably would have had game day this week, apparently.
Yeah, there's not. Oh no.
There was talk.
Penn State and Ohio State.
Penn State, Ohio State has Big Noon.
Yeah, but it would have been.
So game day is going to that, so they're doubling up on that. But I think they try to not do that when they can. So, but from what I understand,
they've done it so much already, they have no shame.
I mean, I think the idea was though the game day would have come to us because Big Noon was there, and Big Noon kind of has first dibs on Big Ten games because of the Fox relationship.
Yeah, but like, there's no way that game day doesn't go. What are they, 3 and 4?
I'm just saying
3 or 3 and 4.
I'm just reciting what Brent Bloom from Cyclone Fanatics / We Will Collective has said.
I love Brent, but there's no way that game day's not going to a top 5 matchup in conference. Like, there's just no way.
I think it was a pipe dream of a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we would have been second place. It might have been a distant second place, but we were second place. But it's all Texas Tech's fault. So,
but other than that game, it is a pretty bad slate this week.
It's not great. I would guess it depends on what games are that week, but I would guess that if Iowa State is 11-0 and Kansas State is 10-1, it would not shock me to see them come for Farmageddon.
They won't.
Yeah, Michigan, Ohio State is typically a big game, but not this year.
That's that weekend?
No, it's this weekend, right? It's this
Michigan, Ohio State's the last weekend of the year.
Oh, who plays? No, Michigan has a big game this week. That I was like, man, that'd be a good game on any other year. Oh, Oregon. It's Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon.
Oh, yeah. Michigan's terrible, though.
Michigan, Oregon would normally be a big game, but it's not because Michigan sucks.
But who knows? Maybe if it's 11-0 and 10-1 and winner goes to the Big 12 title game, that might be enough to get them because just with Michigan being bad.
And Texas A&M play that weekend.
Oh, they'll go to that. Never mind. They'll be at Texas A&M in Texas. I forgot about that. That's the whole reason. That's the whole
they
reason.
They might play on things. No, they used to play it on Thanksgiving. I don't.
Yeah, but what if they lose?
If who loses?
Either team.
They'll still do it. Putting Texas and Texas A&M in the same conference was that is the entire reason that the SEC tried to blow up the Big 12 was so that they could get that matchup because it's going to get 15 million viewers.
Yeah, it's on the 30th.
Yeah, so it is a Saturday, so they'll go to that.
Yeah, they'll go to that. So that's a bummer.
If they both lose,
doesn't matter.
They'll still go to it.
Yeah.
Dylan,
I know you're just a summer child in the college football fandom, but we are not.
I live in the middle of this fucking SEC bullshit. I know
we are not the favored sons, Dylan.
It's bullshit.
I'm sure there'll be some other. You got Florida, Georgia that weekend too. You got
Florida sucks.
Florida's terrible.
Doesn't matter. They still have the name.
What's a name?
I mean, I guess.
Like what? Like a name?
What is a name? Why do we have them?
Like what
is the meaning of life?
That's like, oh, the fucking Patriots might go to the Super Bowl this year because their name. Like, fuck no, they suck.
Yeah, but that's the NFL.
That's completely different. That's completely different. The NFL has objective requirements for who gets in and who doesn't. College football is
Alabama. And Georgia
you have to have Patrick Mahomes to be able to get in.
Yeah, Alabama.
Sure, but if the Chiefs lose,
ESPN would still find a way.
But if the Chiefs go 8-8, they might not make the playoffs, or 8 and 9. They might not make the playoffs, or because there's an objective requirement to get in. And then the NFL.
But if they get in, they're gonna win because it's fucking 11 versus 15 all the time. I'm pissed off people in Iowa but you can't tell me. You can't tell me that Kansas City doesn't get like every call known to man.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, so
I mean that's what you get for winning, you get.
But it's like it's kind of like the Ohtani thing. Like that guy probably shouldn't be playing baseball, but he makes so much money for the league. What, for the gambling thing?
Oh, okay.
Wow, that was his translator though.
Oh yeah. It was his translator. My bad. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
I was like, does this guy think Ohtani sucks at baseball?
I thought that's where I was like, what are you talking about right now?
I'm pretty sure that I could prove with no law degree yet. I might go to law school for shits and giggles, but with no law degree, I'm pretty sure I could prove with the evidence that's available on the internet that it was most likely him and not his translator. Just saying. They won't even let Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame.
If the MLB really wanted to crack down and find that out, they just have to get a hold of the Iowa DCI and they can put their fucking geofence.
But the point is, like, the same things like for Patrick. If Patrick Mahomes was in a similar scenario, they would just brush off.
Yeah,
he could just pin it on Jackson.
But really, yeah, really
I don't know if he's smart enough to gamble. I don't know if he could figure out how to
what the fuck was that?
Well, I was trying to bring it back full circle back to
the fucking Disney thing with the wand.
But no, what I was saying though is like college football though is subjective. It is just a group of people like, I think we should put this team in, but there's really no real like objective requirements.
No, I mean they say there are. They list them out, but like
the only one is that if you win your conference, you get in.
8-4 Mississippi State in, which they're not 8-4. They're worse than that. But
I mean, we're gonna find out this year just how far they're willing to stretch the SEC bias, because there's gonna be a few teams that are gonna lose 3 games that they're gonna have to justify putting in over, because Kansas State will not lose more than 2 games, and BYU will not lose more than 2 games. Maybe not even more than 1 game, and Iowa State will probably not lose 2 games.
Well, not even us, the Big Ten, right? Like you've got this Indiana team that you've got to figure out. Like they won Ohio State in, obviously. They won Oregon.
Ohio State and Oregon are both gonna get in.
Yeah, and then you've got this Indiana and Penn State situation.
They'll just put them both in.
I don't know. It's crazy. Because
I could also see where they're like, oh, let's get 4 SEC teams in. Let's get Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon in, and then like Indiana's just sitting there like
Indiana gets shafted.
Like, we're the Big Ten. You're Indiana. You know?
Yeah, and then you'll have Boise State in, or Boise
the worst
State,
case.
or
The
Army.
worst case. It's 4 SEC teams, 4 Big Ten teams, the Group of 5 team, and then the Big 12 champion and the ACC champion.
And that's just it.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame. I forgot about them.
Oh, yeah. Well, and if Notre Dame wins out, they're in.
Yeah, with a home loss against NIU.
Doesn't matter.
Our pipe dream of the service academies being undefeated for the Army-Navy game is toast.
Yeah, they got absolutely mauled.
Did Army? Oh, Army's still undefeated, aren't they?
Yeah, Army's still undefeated. Notre Dame beat Navy. Like,
right. I know. But an Army plays Notre Dame. It's pretty soon.
Yes, in a couple weeks.
Boy, if Army beats Notre Dame, that would be just spectacular. It's not going to happen, but that would be great. I'll tell you what, though, this past weekend watching some football games, I've never said Rock Chalk Jayhawk more in my entire fucking life than I did on Saturday watching that game. And by golly, they almost did it, but Jalen Daniels decided to shit down his leg like 3 possessions in a row, and it was
they just didn't want to win.
They just couldn't get out of their own way. Kept stepping on rakes just constantly. It was infuriating.
But it doesn't matter, because your Iowa State Cyclones, all they have to do, they're in the best position in the country. All you got to do is win every game that you play. That's all you got to do. Sounds hard, but like, we don't play Oregon. We don't play Texas. We don't play Texas A&M. We don't play any of these teams. Just win every game. Every team that you play is not as good as you are. Just win.
Yeah,
pretty easy.
It's easier for them to win every game rather than rely on somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
And right now, the Kansas State game is the only game you're not favored by at least a touchdown in.
And if you're 11-0, you probably are favored by. It'll probably be 2.5. But.
Well, if it's 11-0 Iowa State and 10-1 Kansas State, it'll probably be like a 3-point. It'll be 2.5 or 3 points or something like that, just because of the home field type of thing. But it'll be a pick 'em on a neutral field. But
I will be drinking so heavily before that game if that's the case, just to be like,
I will not be a functional human being that day.
Like I'll know what's happening within the context of the football game, but just in case, prepare myself for I want to jump off a cliff.
Prepare yourself for an 11-1 Iowa State to get left out of the title game and left out of the playoff.
It's going to be dumb too because I already know how this is going to happen. We're going to lose by fucking 1 point to Kansas State, and then they're going to get in.
There's going to be a bullshit call, maybe it's going to be something
fucking stupid. And then Kansas State's going to go in, and they're going to beat BYU, and then they're going to get in, and then BYU's not going to get in either. BYU's not going to get in. Iowa State's not going to get in, all because they lost to one team by 1 point.
Be a real shame if it ended on a Hail Mary.
Kansas State's going to get in because
you would have lost to one team by 1 point. That's the 4th ranked team in the country.
Right. And the only reason Kansas State's going to get in is because they got blasted by fucking BYU and it just didn't matter. And then they get in and then they go to the playoff and get absolutely shithoused by Ohio State or something.
Yeah. Boise State. They lose to Boise.
What I did see last weekend though is that Kansas State is they are very vulnerable, especially their secondary is poopy. And if you can make Avery Johnson throw into that secondary, John Haycock can have a day. But we'll see.
I mean,
it's a long ways away.
We talked about this before. Matt Campbell kind of owns the Kansas State Wildcats as of late.
Yeah. Is he what? He's what? 5-6-2.
Post Schneider, we kind of own them, and it is what it is.
Oh yeah,
and they have to come into our house, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We play Texas Tech this week, and Texas Tech, solid football team.
Iowa State is also a 13.5 point favorite right now.
I am very pro. Let's not get ahead of our skis here, and 1 game at a time right now.
Yeah, and we play.
Heard it from Hawkeye Matias first.
We play Texas. Yeah, he's worried about.
I'm not the one that was fucking complimenting their new quarterback. You two.
You're the one that talking about the sprinter at the stadium.
Much better than their quarterback.
Is it?
Yeah.
At least I was watching football. You were paying attention to something else because you're probably at the game.
Do you know how
entertainment, not the actual
when a solar eclipse happens or something, and this doesn't happen for 40 years, and everybody gathers to watch it? That's what Iowa having a competent quarterback is to us. It's like, holy shit, everybody take a look. This hasn't happened.
Everybo's taking off their sunglasses to look at the eclipse.
I thought you were going to say once in a 40-year thing is a fast white sprinter, but
no. Well, that too. But
I mean, we had Trevor Ryan playing football. He was pretty good.
Yeah, he ran track.
Mm-hmm. March said it was the fastest white boy he's ever seen.
Now he's our strength coach.
Mm-hmm. Is he still on staff?
Yeah. I think so.
I know he was, but I wasn't sure if he'd stuck around through to Reed Kage's staff.
Yeah, I think he's the only one that did.
Mm. Shout out Reed Kage, by the way, getting everybody ready to go.
I am literally the owner of the Discord, and I can burn this motherfucker down anytime, all right?
I'm also an admin, so I could give Matias the pink name.
But you also can't do anything else without me doing anything, because I can reverse everything.
But also, it is nice. What did you say? 13.5 point favorites?
I think it was 13.5 as of yesterday.
That is solid because as sports bettors may know, Vegas fucking knows.
Well, they didn't last week. We thought they knew with UCF last. You said last week they knew with UCF, and then UCF
I did last week too. I was like, man, I think it was 2.5 points by the time the game started.
And shown the 50 states.
I was like, man, 2.5 points. Like Vegas knows something. BYU might drop this one, but whatever.
How'd that go?
Yeah, it didn't go well.
So this is why you're bad at betting.
But when they're picking the Cyclones by 2 scores,
yeah,
they know.
Matt Campbell is kind of the king of the cover.
We have our game with UCF was also 2.5. No.
Hey, who shared that?
No, it was like a touchdown, I think.
In the Discord that somebody shared, not the Discord, but the Slack that somebody shared, like the picture of every time Iowa State has lost against the spread, they have come back and like obliterated the next team.
Yeah, they typically don't lose to the spread twice in a row. After bye weeks, Iowa State is generally very good after bye weeks.
Oh, here it is. Okay, let me see if I can get this.
Yeah, see if you can pull it up on the screen.
Yeah, I'll pull it up on the Discord.
All right. Share screen. Share screen. Why is it? Share. Share. So, Iowa State last 5 games following and against the spread lost. Oh, I guess it just says they covered. So, okay. Yeah, so whatever. So they've covered every game following that. Also, most recently.
Yeah.
So, -7.5 at BYU. We covered that by a bajillion.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Kansas State was favored by 9.5.
Kansas State was a 10-point favorite against us in Manhattan.
Covered that one by even more.
No, we didn't. That was a close game. It felt like a lot because someone scored 100 touchdowns, but
was it? Did it end up being close?
It was like a 1-score game.
We won by 7.
Yeah, it honestly felt like a lot more than that.
It felt like we beat the piss out of them.
Yeah. That's because they just absolutely they were allergic to tackling Abu Sama.
I have CTE, bro, and that was like a whole year ago.
Discord servers are you in, bud? I mean, I thought I was in a lot. Jesus.
Too many that I never look at.
I say I'm in a bunch of them that I don't look at. I can probably I visit probably 5 of them on a daily basis, but that a lot of Discord servers.
So I don't know, man. Texas Tech, I think, can score a little bit, as we've talked. Good running back.
I'd say bet the over and Iowa State to cover.
This is an opportunity. If you're ever going to try to go out and absolutely demolish somebody by like 40, this is the game to do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's either going to be like a big win, like 45-10, or like it's just going to be a fucking shit show, like 55-42 or some crazy fucking.
Yeah, just the way Texas Tech plays, they're basically incapable of blowing anybody decent out. Like they're just, if it's a good team that has a competent offense, they just can't blow people out just because of how bad that defense is and how the offense is kind of hot and cold. Sometimes they're good, but if you can bottle them up a little bit, they're not a team that comes back very well. So it's just I don't know. This is a game where I think if you could get out to a 2-score lead before halftime, like if you're up by 2 scores in the second quarter, that game's over. Like game's over. Because I think this is a game where the weather's not going to be great. I think you have a chance to make Texas Tech a very, very miserable football team by halftime.
I hope so.
And I would like to see that happen because the theme of the first half of the season was we're going to do what we got to do to win and absolutely nothing more. And we're going to have to come back a little bit. The Iowa game ended up being a little bit of a microcosm where maybe a rough start, you play well, you do the little things you need to do to win games, and that's just what you got to do. But then I think you can set the tone for this, this stretch, the next 3 games, Tech, Kansas, Cincinnati, get out to hot starts and really, because you should win all 3 of these games by at least 10 points, 2 touchdowns, maybe more. You should.
Extremely curious, and this is totally sidetracked, but like this is like you said, you have to like win these games by a lot, and then like typically like years past is like this is the time where you start putting on a show to give like the college football playoff committee like your extra bonus points, but like now like you win the conference, you end it takes care of yourself, but like where does the committee officially rank Iowa State and BYU? This
is your opportunity to make your case as an 11-1 non-title game participant. This is where you make your case to try to get into that game. You take care of these teams. The teams that you can blow out, you should blow them out.
Yeah.
So that way you can put it together.
It's going to be hilarious, and because it's just to be hilarious to see the reaction. But like when we beat Texas Tech, and then this on Tuesday, election night, while everybody's crumbling anyways. Then we're going to add fuel to the fire because of the election results. And then Iowa State gets ranked as 15th in the country by the selection committee.
That's not going to happen.
But if it does happen, it doesn't matter because if you win the Big 12 anyways, you're in.
I think if they win comfortably this weekend,
if they cover the spread, they're top 10.
I think if they take care of business this weekend and cover and win by 2-3 touchdowns, they'll be back in the top 10.
Maybe like 6.
Someone's gonna lose.
If you cover the spread this week, you might make a big jump.
So like, let's see. Okay, so
well, nobody's going to lose this week. Except maybe
Penn
Tennessee.
State, Penn State or Ohio State. One of those two will lose.
Yeah, but they're still going to be.
They're going to be up there though. Yeah, Miami's not losing to Duke. Texas,
I guess, unless Ohio State loses. If Ohio State loses, they could drop.
Miami could lose.
BYU could absolutely lose to Utah. They could lose to Utah. Texas A&M could lose to South Carolina.
Rivalry factor, but I don't think they're going to.
Texas A&M could lose to South Carolina, and Clemson could lose to Louisville.
Tennessee could lose to Kentucky.
Yeah, there's a potential for. There's a potential
Iowa
here
State
for
could lose to jump. They are playing a football game. That is a possibility.
Alabama's playing LSU though, so if they beat LSU at LSU, then Alabama's
playing LSU
at LSU. Yeah. So if they win at LSU, they're going to jump back up and be pushing 10 again.
No, both of those teams will be ranked below us until the season's over. There's no way.
I don't know, man. You've got more faith than I do. But
there's just no way.
I have zero faith in the selection committee.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in the selection committee.
There is no reason to believe that there is any faith with the selection committee. Like, you shouldn't have.
They've given us no reason. Yeah, they've given us no reason to have
everything that they have done to this point has been geared towards the SEC and Big Ten, and you should not believe otherwise until they show us.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to show us.
All Iowa State can do is go out and take care of business and beat the teams they're supposed to beat, which is all of them. And don't leave it up to contest. Don't put yourself in the position to be on the bubble.
Yeah, I mean, you go out and win all these games that you should, and then you go out and win the Big 12 championship game, and you're 13-0. You are ranked probably not 4.
You're probably 3. You're probably 3.
Maybe 2. Maybe 2.
We are in the witching hour.
It'd be tough. I don't think if Oregon and Georgia both win out and win their conference, you're not going to be ranked ahead of either of them.
I don't know. If you have an Alabama that doesn't make the playoff and that's Georgia's loss and you're 13-0 conference champion, I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't see, that's not the thing, is like they don't mind putting Georgia at 3 instead of 2 as long as they're in. They don't really care. They'll probably be like, oh my God, the 3 spot looks a little better path to the championship. So let's put Georgia at 3 and Iowa State at 2.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's
we are never going to get past number 4. I will bet.
No, we could be 3 for sure. We can be 3.
If we're 13-0, a 13-0 conference champ, I think you'd be 3.
Be 4.
You'd be 3 unless Miami is also a 13-0 conference champ.
Even then, our conference is better than theirs.
That's not the perception, though. ACC also has a blue blood, and we don't.
Doesn't matter. We are the blue blood. It's time to.
Yeah, so Levi, shut your mouth.
We're the tertiary blue blood.
We have become the blue blood of the Big 12 because Matt Campbell is never going to leave, and he's going to retire names, and we will be the blue blood of the Big 12.
Nothing matters anyways because we're all going to die and we're going to lose this.
Yeah, we're all going to die eventually, and that's just kind of is what it is.
And we'll join Caleb Bacon and
Dylan. How long have you been bald?
It's a funny story actually. I wasn't bald.
Maybe just because you've been wearing hats. Maybe that's just why I didn't really think about it.
I wasn't bald, and then I shaved my head my senior year at Iowa State. I wasn't bald, but I shaved my head on Halloween because we played Kansas and I knew we were going to wipe the floor with them. So I thought I'd have a little fun. So I shaved my head, and then after the game, I put on this fucking Dave Andrews Halloween costume, our strength coach. And he wears like fucking Jordans and like has like one pant leg like rolled up a little bit and like wears his hat like fucking weird, and he's got the COVID whistle. It's like the whistle with a button instead of touching your mouth on it.
Oh yeah.
Button. So I had all this shit in my clipboard, and I shaved my head to look like him because he's like a beard like me, bald head. And everybody thought it was fucking hilarious. And then my hair didn't grow back. So I just decided to own it from that point, I guess.
Oh shit.
Yeah, if you look on like my Instagram, there's like pictures from like a couple weeks before that, and it was like, oh, that's fucking normal hair. And then, yeah, whatever.
R.I.P.
But I rocked it. I rocked it my senior year. I think it made me like tougher.
Sick.
I feel like somebody was like waiting for somebody to say something dumb there.
I know. I was just like,
I thought you were waiting to like cut somebody off to end, but we haven't got that far just yet.
We're pretty much there.
Well, just like
I don't know. You thought I was gonna cut it off there, but what didn't?
Sound like a fucking cat dying.
I know. What do your cats sound like?
I don't have a fucking cat.
I was about to say, you have cats.
No.
Either you have a cat, Levi?
No, I don't have a cat. I have one dog.
Cats are the devil.
My sister is a cat. She's kind of an asshole.
Your sister or the cat?
Both.
Mainly the cat. She might be watching this. Actually, I don't know.
Shout out.
Her cat.
Live on air.
This is what you've met my family. It is what it is. All right,
boys. We got to win all these games so we can get Matthias in the car.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Live from the Little Tex car.
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I get in a car every day.
Did we have to make the title game? Is that what it was?
I think it was, and I was going to pull him with a rope into the stadium.
Yeah, it was the title game, wasn't it?
Yeah, you got to bring it down if we do that and we go have a party.
A tweet
at
about
house,
it.
We're gonna have a party at my house.
Then you can bring the car down.
On the way to the title game, we're gonna stop here and have a party at my house, and then we're gonna go live on this nightcap the night before the game.
Not gonna lie, that'd be fucking sick.
From the car.
Matthias is crammed in the car, and we're just sitting on like patio chairs, just chilling. Matthias is trying to host from inside the fucking.
Can't get him out of the car for the next day, so you just hook the rope to the back of the vehicle and go down to Dallas.
God. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So let's get some predictions for this weekend. Dylan, you can go first.
42-20. Do they have a field goal kicker? Surely. 42-20.
I don't know.
Did Arizona State ever find a new kicker?
Did they still have Jonathan Garibay?
Did the Packers find a new kicker? They have Braden Arvison.
Because they took Braden Arvison out behind the shed and shot him, didn't they?
Yeah. Yep. And he actually just tried out for the Jets again, or the Tuesday.
Give Andrew Mevis, free Andrew Mevis, get him back in the NFL. That kid's an NFL kicker. You just had a
Yeah, Packers have a Brandon
free
McManus
Blankenship, man. The you know what I'm talking about?
Hot Rod?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Like, why is that guy not in the NFL? Jesus.
Oh, he's not anymore?
No,
I don't think so.
Oh, I feel like kickers either they play for 15 years or they're out of the NFL in a year. It's one or the other.
Which is crazy because everybody always needs a kicker and everybody always wants to fire their kicker.
Yeah, and then the kickers get recycled all over the place. Like Will Lutz was really good for the Saints, and then he
He's with the Broncos.
Now he's with the Broncos. Yeah.
Well, because the Broncos have every Saints player because of Sean Payton.
Right.
The Troutman, they have a bunch of guys.
I think the Bears kicker Cairo Santos was like with the Bears once and with like 3 other teams, now back with the Bears.
That happens too.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm going 31-17.
Is this a 31-17 where it is what it is, or is this one of those like 31-17 like that West Virginia game where it's like we're basically dominating this and then they get a garbage time touchdown type of thing?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say give me 38. I like 38. It's 38-17. I like 38-17. I think Iowa State has the potential to go for 50, to put a 50 burger on the scoreboard this game if they want to, but I don't know if they will. Depends on how healthy like Jaden Higgins is and what they got from the tight end group and if they got another receiver going or not. But they're talented enough, and I this feels like a game that weirdly I think is going to be like a Carson Hansen game, like where he goes off for like $125 or something like that. I don't know why, but this feels like a Carson Hansen game.
I got an odd feeling that like Higgins is going to be on a limited snap count, which is fine. And then obviously Ben Bramer is not playing at all.
Feels like a Jalen Noel game.
Jalen Noel. Jalen, or maybe this is a Carson Brown game because Jalen Noel is getting doubled.
Maybe it's a Rocco game. He throws for 350 and rushes for 200. 6 touchdowns.
God, about every game has been a Rocco game recently. Dude just dropped his fucking nuts last week, and it was awesome.
Well, yeah. I mean, he put himself in the position to have to drop his nuts.
He did, but he did it anyways, and he won the fucking football game.
Yeah, I mean, that's what matters. Love the kid.
That is indeed what matters. All right. Well,
anybody have anything stupid to say so we can cut it off and end?
Love Levi's mom.
She's a nice lady.
Just start talking about the Hawkeyes again.
Yeah, no. What's your deal with the fucking Sprinter again? Why do you know that? Were you at the game?
In an Iowa State jersey?
He's probably in an Iowa jersey because he's a fucking terrorist.
Dude, are those not the worst people? The people that like go to an Iowa State game and wear an Iowa shirt?
Dude, I swear to God, I
do
see
it
so
like
many
every
times.
stadium.
It'd be every stadium. There's a random dude in a fucking Iowa shirt. Like, do you not have hobbies or like Iowa games to go
One
to?
of my friends shared like, what's that stupid page that they have with the kid that beats up women? Hawkeye Heaven. The guy who runs that page beats women. Anyways, they shared that my friend shared a post. He's a big stupid Northwest Iowa Hawkeye fan. That this guy was at an Ole Miss game wearing an Iowa jersey.
That sounds like an Iowa fan. Not gonna lie, I would actually really like to go to like an Ole Miss Tennessee.
But I'm not wearing an Iowa State jersey.
No. If I go to like Ole Miss LSU in Oxford, I'm wearing. Actually, I don't know which one I'd wear. I'd wear one of their shirts.
That's like when I go to Arkansas games, I wear Arkansas shit.
Yeah,
I don't wear...
yeah. You're not gonna like go to an Arkansas Ole Miss game and wear fucking Iowa State shit.
Yeah,
Get weird.
So who's worse, Iowa fans or Kansas State fans?
Just in general, or like online, or what do you mean?
In general. I mean, online, it's
5 years ago, I would have said Iowa fans.
I think 2 years ago, I would have said Iowa fans, but I think I'm at Kansas State fans. What I do know is that Kansas State fans are more likely to track you down to your personal account on Twitter and start harassing you for no fucking reason. But I've also had that happen with Iowa fans. So
as we speak. Oh yeah.
Well, I just use my personal account on Twitter because I'm not a bitch.
I use it by personal account. Well, I kind of do. I mostly tweet about not Iowa State shit, but because I tweet my Iowa State shit from my Iowa Red account.
Because like
Not my account, but the account.
I'm not gonna like. What's the point of a burner account? I'm not gonna say anything that I don't want people to see me saying.
That's where I'm at with it. Is like there's nothing that I'm gonna tweet that I won't put my name on it.
Yeah, it's like just if you're that serious and you got a problem with it, just hit me up. I'll send you my address. Come on, I don't care.
That's fair because no one's actually gonna come fight you. They might try to fight me. I don't know.
That I posted something about burners on Iowa State, and they're like, "Well, we're just trying to have fun." Like, can't you tweet that same stuff and have fun with your name on it?
You can tweet all that same stuff from your own account with your name on it. You're just being weird now.
If you have to hide behind something, maybe you shouldn't be saying it at all, anyways.
Right? Yeah. So
that's what I feel like. If you're gonna have to hide behind it, it's because you're like just saying like racist shit or like off the wall shit that you know people are gonna not be okay with.
Yeah, it's like if you're gonna say something that you're not willing to put your name on it, you probably just shouldn't say it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I did have one person say like, "Well, I don't want my company to know that I'm tweeting at work all day." Well, maybe you shouldn't be tweeting at work all day.
Maybe just don't be tweeting at work all day, or get better at hiding it. I don't know. I don't know. It is what it is. But
look, I'm not gonna say anything dumb, so I'm gonna end this.
Matthias has a huge forehead. I just